With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritized customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
And activate your radio. If you haven't subscribed to SiriusXM yet, you're missing out on over 140 channels of sports, news, talk, and entertainment, plus commercial-free music. Get play-by-play from your teams, your favorite music, commercial-free, and personalities like Howard Stern, no matter where you live. Unlock it all now. Activate your radio by visiting www.siriusxm.com/go to sign up online quickly or call 844-711-8800 now.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. Let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. 018-14868.
Grando Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me, and people who love the universe. And that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Shut up, fool. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. It's not my fault I can't sleep. I drink coffee almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I gotta wake the neighborhood up. I have been voted neighborhood spokesperson, and some people regret the vote. You should have counted all the votes. You gotta count all the votes. That's my story. And I'm sticking with it. I do want to say what a beautiful day in Dimdale Hills, California on a beautiful Friday, August 16th, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers. Home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard in the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit you where the good Lord split you. And hopefully the good Lord did split you too wide, but a lot of people walk around with a really wide split because almost everywhere you go, there's a fast food line. What kind of line, Big C? There's a fast food line. Where you want your split to grow fast, just keep going to those fast food places. Sometimes the food's not as healthy as it should be, but that's my story, and I take it with it. I want to say with Big C Sports Podcast, I love bringing you this show on this happy Friday. A lot of good things going on in the world, but I got to also say, I'm going to do my part to share what I've been learning. Nam yo renge yo, nam yo renge yo, nam yo renge yo. I'm trying this Buddha's chant One of the most significant attributes of Nichiren Buddhism is its easily accessible practice of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Yo, Nam Myoho Renge Yo, Nam Myoho Renge Yo. I'm telling you, it's working. It's tightening up my stomach. And its profound yet simple method of Buddhist practice is the perfect Buddhist teaching for the modern world. Now, practice is one of the three pillars of Nichiren Buddhism, the others being faith and study, through which we can bring forth our innate Buddhahood. Practice entails two aspects: practice for oneself and practice for others, chanting Nam Myoho Renge Yo, Nam Myoho Renge Yo, Nam Myoho Renge Yo. I've been doing that especially the last month, but I started about 20 years ago. I'm going to start adding that to my daily diet of collard greens. And in fact, I've been chanting to get more collard greens lately too. But chanting Nam Myoho Renge Yo, Nam Myoho Renge Yo, Nam Myoho Renge Yo is a primary practice for itself. And I really believe that I can add everything from prayer, faith, all the things that are good. I'm going to add that to my life because I want to have a quantum leap. In fact, I've got to have a quantum leap all over the universe. Got to have a quantum leap in life. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And I'm going to have that quantum leap. But it's part of getting up and rising and shining. You got to rise and shine every day. And every now and then, sometimes you're going to feel some resistance. And resistance is just part of life. It's not always daytime. It's not always nighttime. But if you continue to keep breathing, I'm talking to myself, you get through these things. There's a lot of good things that have happened in my life, and then some things feel like they're on pause. I don't like things that are on pause. But sometimes that's just the way the universe works. But what I do say with Big C Sports Podcast, I'm going to talk about some NFL football, and I'm going to talk about the NFL power rankings for the coaches. Because there's a lot of coaches, they have so much money, and they don't have to work. Meaning they don't have to go bang their bodies up and down the field against other athletes. They've earned the right to be called the owner. I've earned the right to be called owner of Big C Sports Podcast. I'm still looking for that $1 billion. I'm going to get $1 billion. I'm going to channel it into my life. I know it's happening because I have so many miraculous things happening to my life. And it doesn't matter what I'm talking to God. I don't want to talk to negative people. Almost everything I've ever gotten in my life, God brought it to me. I've had to go through some crap too, like a lot of other people. But I'm so passionate about what I'm doing with Big C Sports Podcast because it's not just about me. It's about learning how to connect people to resources, to learn to protect their assets, and a lot of other things that help them protect wealth at the end of life. I've already experienced that in my own experiences of life. And that's what I want to be with Big C Sports. Not just a guy who says, touchdown, home run, 3-point play. Oh, man, Willie, he's going all the way. You know, I learned a long time ago, long ago in a galaxy far, far away. I've listened to some great broadcasters over the years, from the great Vin Scully. Listen to Vin Scully, like 57-year broadcaster with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I've also done games with the late John Madden and the late Pat Summerall. I was a spotter right next to them in the press box when they come to San Francisco. I've worked with a lot of great broadcasters over the years. And now, even from Dick Enberg's crew, Tom Hammond, I've worked with a lot of great athletes and broadcasters. One of the best things I've ever learned about broadcasting, there's a baseball player by the name of Joe Morgan. He used to be a broadcaster and with Major League Baseball, and then he had some issues with L.A. He got beaten up by some L.A. law enforcement officers, and his career kind of went downhill when he sued them. But also knowing over the years, hearing some great minds, the great Don Cornelius. This is Soul Train. Listening to the great Don Cornelius and the way he just controlled his voice patterns. This is Soul Train. The great Bernard Shaw from CNN. A lot of great, wonderful, talented people. I remember Jane Kennedy as the first reporter on CBS Sports back in the 80s, I believe, African-American woman. And Irv Cross, he also did his thing, former football player, but then went on to become a legendary reporter. There's just so many opportunities that you have in life. But for the most part, I've always been able to admire what happened with Bob Johnson, who owned BET before he sold it. And I realized that man didn't have $15,000 to try to buy the program when he started and ended up selling it for over $3 billion. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. But God put inside of all of us that seed that we can grow. Just sometimes need water and sunshine. I want to give water and sunshine to my life, and I want to do it on the Big C Sports Podcast. A lot of great things happening in the world of banking, in the world of asset protection. Asset protection! It's like a football player says, hut 1, hut 2, hut 3. I said asset protection. What'd you say? It's a football player. You'll start hearing it over the NFL coming up this week. I kid you not. Hut 1, hut 2, hut 3, asset protection. You're going to start hearing that on NFL football. I tell you, I'm not just making this up. Sometimes things have been popping into my mind, and then I get a phone call from what my mind already told me. It's happening more and more. I want to just keep giving God. I want to give God some praise for that. Well, as I say, with Big C Sports Podcast, I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We should all use more laughter in our lives. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I do the storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. Steph Curry for 3. Yes! Get the hole in your life. Have you ever seen such a play? And there's some talk that Michael Jordan said that Steph Curry is not a Hall of Famer at this time. And Michael Jordan never scored the amount of points that Steph Curry scored shooting 3-point baskets. He just hasn't. And Steph Curry obviously has perfected the game, and he still has a lot of miles in his tank, if that makes sense to you. And people like Michael Jordan to come out and say that Steph Curry is not a Hall of Famer already. He already has 4 NBA championships, and he's still playing. Just won an Olympic gold medal with Team USA. I know LeBron James was named the MVP of the Olympics, but I thought Steph Curry should have been the MVP of the Olympics. But either way, they're both great players, both great teammates. Especially those last 2 games, they would not have been won without Steph Curry doing his thing. And for people to say he's not a Hall of Famer, Michael Jordan, are y'all involved in mine? Sometimes people have this thought that when I played, I did a lot of things that they couldn't do. Well, Jordan could never shoot like Curry, but he could get to the basket, and you couldn't touch him. They call a foul on you. That's a fact. It's just a fact. But how you knock Steph Curry when he's elevated the game called NBA basketball and just won a gold medal? But sometimes players just want to hate on the generation that's behind them, and that's unfortunate. But there's a lot of things that are unfortunate when a lot of people do it. Also, Steph Curry has a food program, he and his wife Aisha, in Oakland, that helps feed kids. He doesn't have to make it public, but he does. So not only is he a great person off the court, he's a great player on the court, and he gets his teammates involved. And that, to me, when you look at what makes a player great, Steph Curry took his ego, put it aside, and said, let's bring in Kevin Durant. Now, that's a hard thing for people to do, to say, let's put my ego aside and bring in another great player, and then defer to him. And that's when the Warriors brought Kevin Durant out to join the Splash Brothers, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and then you can add Draymond Green as a defensive stopper. So there are times when people want to say, well, this player couldn't have played in my time. That's not true at all. It's not true at all. So in my eyes, Curry, yeah, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. Latin strike! If you don't think he's a Hall of Famer, that's my story. And I'm taking with it. But I got to say, Ashe. The question is, really? I upload the show. It goes out to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City and streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And then number 10, I never missed a show since starting Big C Sports with the crew back in the day at Salem Media. And I'm not saying that other people haven't missed programs, but I never missed a show. No matter what's going on in my life, joy, pain, sunshine, and rain, I've always had something to post, and I do the best I can at it. It's not for everybody, but I do want to make sure that I pay homage to people that have done great things in my life, and I really do appreciate that. I also want to say I've taken a coaching class. I believe we all need coaching, and sometimes I've been told, man, you talk too slow. I said, too slow? He said, yeah, you talk too slow. And so I'm taking a class on how to talk faster. I took speed reading when I was in college. And then I went to this automobile auction, and this guy was saying, sold, 3,000 sold, 4,000 sold, 5,000 sold. I didn't know what he was saying, but people were buying the cars. I said, man, lightning strike. If I could just learn to talk faster. So hopefully when I get my classes completed, when you hear Big C Sports Podcast, you'll hear, yo, this is the show, man, let this break. In your life, get the hole. That's my plan. I hope it don't make me lose my mind learning to talk faster. But if you ever been to New York City, you got to talk fast. If not, they'll take all your assets, if that makes sense. I want to pay homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And they really are experienced helping veterans keep their minds right. Not just veterans, but veterans and their loved ones. They will stand on their head to help our veterans, and that's what I love about it. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone. Call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Now, when I take my speed reading class and my speed talking class, it's going to say, call 800-273. That's 800-273. Like, what did you say? And people at a car auction, they'll understand it. They're very good at that understand it. It taught me something. People were buying cars and I couldn't understand a word he said. That's what I want to do. When you walk into the bank, you say, I want to withdraw $1 million. They said, what? I said, $1 million. They said, what do you want to do? I said, $1 million. And you walk out with $100 million. Because they just assume with all that confidence, you must be right, man. Let this strike. What's a car auctioneer do when he goes to a bank to take out some money? He's talking so fast, but people understand him, and hopefully I can learn to talk faster with Big C Sports Podcast. I'll get more in that way. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to that's veteranscrisisline.net. veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. And that's my story I'm sticking with it. I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then God said, He said, let there be light. And light came. I want to do that with Big C Sports Podcast. At the same time, I know you can't please everybody. I'm not even trying to please everybody anymore. You do the best you can to please yourself. I want to give some praise to a show called One Gong in the Morning with Tim and Marvell, and they do a lot of talk of reparations and helping people understand that it's you either lead, follow, or get out of the way. And there are times when people have their own thoughts about things. It can be kind of emotional at times, but I love giving them praise because they say such high things about Big C Sports Podcast too. I want to just thank so many people that have opened doors in my life. I want to keep opening doors because when doors open, it's not you all the time that does it on your own. There are people that open doors for us. So I want to say, in my mind, before I get into my commercial, when I talk about Big C Sports Podcast, there are things that are happening in California right now. And there's smart people, bright people that are putting their hearts and their minds together to make life better for everybody because reparations will stimulate the economy, and that's part of why descendants of the Holocaust got reparations too, because of things that were done wrong. To fix it, that's why Native Americans got reparations, called these casinos that you go to, they're on reservations for the most part, and Japanese Americans got reparations too. I want you to hear something that happened yesterday in the state of California to go forward one small step for man, one giant leap for reparations now, reparations forever. I want you to hear this. It's very passionate and important to me, and I hope you understand before I get into the rest of Big C Sports Podcast. You got to know it. It's not just me. There are a lot of good people behind the cause for reparations.
SB 1050, Bradford. Racially motivated eminent domain, do pass, out with Republicans not voting. SB 1331, Bradford, Reparations Fund, do pass, out on the B-roll call. SB 1403, Bradford, California American Freedmen Affairs Agency, do pass, with, on the B-roll call.
Please like, share, and subscribe to your number one source for news and reparations.
Reparations now! Reparations forever! You heard that being read yesterday at the legislator's office in California. I'm so impressed and proud of the push for reparations. I'm glad that I'm part of that with Big C Sports Podcast. That is so powerful, and now I want you to hear the most eloquent speaker that's ever spoke about reparations.
Martin Luther King, we had a conversation a couple days ago about handouts and how these right-wing memes, these Republican memes, have infiltrated the Democratic debate to suggest that, ending welfare as we know it, all those kind of things are somehow, great and noble things, when we're not dealing with the underlying problem, which is that there's no economic opportunity there because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
The problem. At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
From his speech, The Two Nations of Black America, and it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with and didn't just steal it. I mean, murdered them. He murdered the Indians in the process, and did not give any of these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. It's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
Reparations now! Reparations forever! Reparations forever! That's what I love saying. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I love doing the best I can to bring people together from sea to shining sea of the Big C Sports Podcast, a beautiful August 16th. I always tell you that I do a commercial that I'm doing with Big C Sports Podcast. I love paying homage to the California Reparations Task Force because of mine is a terrible thing to waste. And I got my own thoughts about how not to waste my mind. What did I hear DMX say? I don't want to lose my mind. Up in here, I don't want to lose my mind. But I also want to make sure I pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force because of mine is a terrible thing to waste. I want to give praise to the inimitable Dr. Shirley Weber, the Secretary of the State of California. She worked with California Governor Gavin Newsom to mandate the California Reparations Task Force, and they've done a great job. And there's so many things that are passing right now with the help of California Senator Stephen Bradford. I want to give praise also to the chair, Kimi Lamore. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. She's an expert when it comes to reparative justice. I want to give her praise. I want to give praise. And she photobombed the Big C photograph at the reparations hearing last year. I'm going to get her to come on the Big C Sports Podcast too. All's fair and level, where I want to give praise to Dr. Amos C. Brown. He's the vice chair of the California Reparations Task Force. He also came on the Big C Sports Podcast sometime about 3 months ago. Really do appreciate him. He's also a big proponent of reparations, but it's not just him. I do appreciate the fact that so many other people are talking about reparations in California. I want to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. He also champions name, image, and likeness for college student athletes getting paid on their name, image, and likeness. You'll hear about that as you see college football kicking off. He also helps sponsor the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding missing black children that the Amber Alert puts into finding missing white children. I love giving him praise for that because he knows something. To me, he's a lot like Moses. When God told Moses in Exodus 10, he said, "Go down into Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let my people go." And Moses said to God, "Well, who do I tell him sent me?" And God said, "Tell him I am sent you." And he went down and did his thing. It's like Senator Bradford was on his knees praying, talking to that same God from many moons ago, the Ancient of Days. And God said, "Go down into the state capitol and the Senate and the legislators and tell them I said pass reparations." And Senator Bradford said, "But who do I tell him sent me?" And God said, "Tell them I am sent you." And now they're passing bills right in front of our eyes. And I'm so proud of the things that are happening in this country when it comes to reparations. It means to repair. And there's so many times mainstream media tells African Americans, "Oh, just get over it. Oh, that was a long time ago." But there are a lot of mainstream individuals that pass this bill. I love giving Senator Bradford praise because he's a champion of diversity, and that includes everybody deserves to be treated fair. But if you ever been robbed, you want the court system to come back and make it fair, and reparations will stimulate this economy from sea to shining sea, and all good people want it. You know how you want to know how you can tell. You want to know how God can tell if you're a good person. You know how God can tell if you're a good person because you do right by people, even in the dark. You know how God can tell you're full of crap because you deceive people. And anyone that's behind reparations, they know this country, it owes a great debt to descendants of child slavery, built this country from sea to shining sea. I won't just champion for touchdowns and home runs and three-point plays. I'm proud of bright people, good people, you people that want to champion reparations. And that's what I love saying about California Senator Stephen Bradford. He has enough power to sit back and do nothing. But he's out there doing a good cause for a lot of good people. I call it God's work. That's my story. I'm giving it praise. I want to also give praise to council member Monica Montgomery Stepp. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. She's a champion of diversity, equity, and inclusion that Project 2025 wants to do away with. I want to give her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California, Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to our attorney, Donald K. Tamaki. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. As a Japanese American descendant, he actually got reparations from the internment camps that the United States government did unjustly to Japanese Americans. His ancestors got reparations. You got to give it praise, praise, praise. We all need to be praised for doing the right thing. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I'd be remiss if I did not tell you about this infomercial I've been working on. Thanks for saying infomercial, Big C. Yeah, I finally said infomercial because somebody likes to give me the 2 cents every now and then. They say faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So pay attention because it may have a quiz. It's called A Guide to Protect, Preserve, and Transfer Wealth Resource Development Consulting, Inc., in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and the law office of attorney George Jones. It's called The Missing Link, Long-Term Care Solutions by the Book, over 3 decades of experience helping seniors get their benefits, Medicare and You, Taking Care of Tomorrow. In California, it's called Medicaid. Your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. You can find out your options. How do you find out options, Big C? You find out your options by calling 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And tell them Big C sent you. I promise to you, it's to specialize and navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without a spend down. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. Ongoing communication and consulting to provide updates as necessary. benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medications, medical equipment costs, and more. Not only that, have you ever known anyone to deal with skilled nursing facilities? Have you ever known anyone to deal with medical prescriptions? You know, like the ones you took this morning. Have you ever known anyone to deal with medical equipment costs and more? But not only that, protection of your assets, if that makes sense, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. I've been said to be called a Trekkie. You know, I've loved Star Trek. I'm also a studied of Star Wars, The Empire. And I know that long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the USS Starship Enterprise, it was on a 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, and to boldly go where no man or woman had gone before. May lightning strike! The USS Starship Enterprise entered an orbit called the Ooh Yeah orbit. I think Jody's is saying in that orbit. He said, Ooh Yeah! And they came out of hyperspace and they saw this big, beautiful, black, shiny planet. And Captain Kirk said, wow, that's a peculiar planet. I've never seen such a beautiful black planet, but it's blinking. And Scotty said, yeah, Captain, it is beautiful and black, but it is blinking, very peculiar. And Spock said, yes, Captain, it is blinking. It's kind of illogical for a planet to blink. And Spock said, well, Captain, what do you think? I would like to do the Vulcan mind meld. And Scotty said, yeah, let's do the Vulcan mind meld. And Captain Kirk said, Scotty, Spock, are you Vulcan mind? Raise the shields. And Captain Kirk said, I said raise the shields, that's an order. And right when he said that, the Death Star started to pulse. He said, raise the shields, are you Vulcan mind? And as the Death Star started to pulse, they heard an order come over the loud system. Hello, this is Darth Vader, Captain Darth Vader of Starfleet Academy, and also the Empire. I've been given an order to you to not raise those shields. It would be considered an act of war. And just as Captain Kirk and Scotty and Spock said, well, that doesn't make any sense. I didn't hear anything from Starfleet Command. And he said, that's why they told me to tell you, Captain Kirk, Spock, and Scotty. And Scotty said, well, how do you know my name? And Captain Kirk said, yeah, how do you know our name? And Spock said, yes, it's illogical. How do you know our name? And he said, because I'm using the Force, and I've been given an order from Starfleet Command that the Starfleet Academy and the Empire have joined forces. Now, do not raise those shields. It would be considered an act of war. And Spock said, Scotty, Captain, what do you think? And Captain said, Scotty, Spock, are you Vulcan mind? Raise the shields. And just because they were going to raise the shields, and Darth Vader said, listen, if you trust your feelings, you know it's true. I am your father. And honor your mother and your father that your days may be long. Do not raise the shields. You know it's true. And Scotty said, well, you're not my dad. I haven't seen my dad in many, many years. And Captain Kirk said, yeah, I just talked to my dad yesterday. And Spock said, yeah, my dad's green and you're black. Probably not the same loins. And he said, I got an order. Do not raise the shields. In fact, I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. I'm going to throw in Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Lando Calrissian, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Han Solo, even Yoda, and then 2 robots called C-3PO and R2-D2. Just do not raise your shields. It's an order. And Captain Kirk said, light me straight ahead, may lightning strike. And they got out of the way of the Death Star because he trusted his shields and he trusted his trust. You got to have trust. You know, I'm auditioning for Star Trek 29 and Star Wars 25. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. But you got to understand, just like Captain Kirk said, raise the shields on the audio Vulcan mind. Because the Vulcans have great minds. They have the ability to read minds. Well, a lot of lawyers are just like that when it comes to business owners. They want to study the business owners who have a lot of money and don't know how to protect their assets. And they file these lawsuits against you. If you have a will and a trust, you protect your personal belongings and your assets, and that's why we offer that with the RDC team. And also avoid the nightmare of debt brought by the government estate recovery program called probate. You better believe if you don't have a will or a trust, they will have one for you, and you will not like it. You get that through the RDC team, a one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. But not only that, I'm not done yet. With the trust and RDC, we have protection, insurance coverage required by a law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trusts, Medicaid and Medi-Cal planning for long-term care, avoid probate, life insurance. We have veterans benefits, aid and attendance in pre-planning and avoid the look-back period. It protects your fixed assets. It protects your bank account, your checking account, your savings account, your money market account, your certificates of deposit, known as CDs, life insurance with cash values, your fixed indexed annuities. Does it protect your variable assets, Big C? I'm glad you asked. Your real estate, your qualified money IRA, 401k, other investments. For example, avoid capital gains. You say you buy a house for $100,000, and then in 1 year it appreciates to $1 million. According to many brokers that want to make a sale, that's a $900,000 capital gains. You avoid that when your property's in a trust. Attention business owners. Attention business owners. Attention business owners. You got to find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. And when you do, you want to tell them Big C sent you. May let this strike if you don't tell them Big C sent you. Now, when I tell you that, people may say, well, I got a guy who does asset protection. Why would I use you, Big C? And I say, I'm glad you asked. In fact, many companies, they don't give you references because many companies don't have references. And with the RDC team, I want to give you references so you don't have to just go by what I say. You can Google it for yourself. We have the endorsement of the late James Gomez. He advised 4 California governors and led change in California nursing homes. He also served on Golden One's board of directors. It's amazing. The late Jim Gomez, the CEO of California Association of Health Facilities, he endorsed the RDC team. The late Robert Carlson, the top legal counsel for CalPERS, he endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, Charlton Curry, the co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project, and also business development consultant for the RDC team, and also owner of Big C Sports Podcast Corporation, I endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, we have Double O. She's the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She's also a consultant with the RDC team, and also has her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. She endorses the RDC team. You got to give that some praise. I say give it praise, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and I don't want to waste my mind. Up in here, I don't want to waste my mind. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, you know, I can tell you, I am reaching out to the NFL, also Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, when it comes to asset protection for RDC. And I want to reach out to those organizations because I know it's possible to get this program in front of the eyes and ears of a lot of people that believe in protecting our assets. As we go through stages of life, we're all going to need some help in life. We all know that. We either have the preparation for it or we don't have preparation for it. And I want to do my part with Big C Sports Podcast to do that. Give that some praise, may let this play. I want to also say, when it comes to Big C Sports, I love NFL football. I love basketball. I love it all. But I want to make sure that whatever I do when it comes to sports, I want to make sure that I reach out to these organizations so that they too can figure out what it takes to be a part of an organization that helps people. It's like calling the ambulance or the fire department when you have an emergency. And that's what we want to do with RDC, but it helps to get the help before you need the help, if that makes sense to you. And as I say, I love NFL football. And when you have the opportunities that are out there to play NFL football, there's a lot of times when people look at a moment where someone needed protection in the National Football League. His name is Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, he spoke out many years ago. Yeah, may lightning strike. And he was trying to send an alarm to help African Americans in this country beyond the playing surface. So he took a knee. He took a knee because a military man told him it'd be more respectful. But mainstream got a hold of that, and they tried to make it more egregious than what it was. They made it more nefarious. May lightning strike! They made it nefarious. The great Colin Kaepernick, and many people hated him for taking a stand to protect African Americans. They said he was trying to be anti-American. He was not trying to be anti-American. And I gotta just tell you, on Thursday, after practice, the Los Angeles Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh confirmed that Colin Kaepernick will not be a coach nor play for the Los Angeles Chargers. May lightning strike! And that's a shame for many reasons. And he said the former Michigan head coach and Jim Harbaugh, he told reporters earlier this week that he made overtures to his former quarterback before joining his staff, but there's no concrete plans at the moment. Harbaugh said that on Thursday that his staff for 2024 is currently full. He said, I love Colin, but he's not going to be on the coaching staff, which is set for this year, and he's not going to be playing on the roster either. Harbaugh said that to the media. And then Harbaugh and Kaepernick found great success together while they were a coaching quarterback duo for the San Francisco 49ers, the City by the Bay, and their time together convinced the national championship winning head coach that Nevada alum could follow in his footsteps. And he said, I've thought that for a long time, Harbaugh said of Kaepernick's coaching ability, just the respect that I have for the football mind and the man that he is. You got to think about the late Oakland Raiders owner Al Davis saw something in me that made him think I would be a good coach. And I see those same qualities in Colin Kaepernick if it's something that he chooses to do. Now, Colin Kaepernick is still seeking a return to the NFL, and Colin Kaepernick had a 29-16 record as a starter with Jim Harbaugh with the 49ers, including the playoffs with Harbaugh at San Francisco. He found much less success when Harbaugh left. And I got to tell you, Colin Kaepernick took the 49ers to a Super Bowl. Think about that. The first time since Steve Young took them to a Super Bowl. He has 4 playoff victories. He was in a pass short of beating the Baltimore Ravens in a Super Bowl down in New Orleans. And he set the world on fire. He still has the record for the most yards rushed for and passed for in an NFL football game. It was in a championship game versus the Green Bay Packers at Candlestick Park. But the last time Kaepernick played in an NFL game was in January 2017. And he spent his entire career with the 49ers from 2011 to 2016. He opted out of his contract before the start of the 2017 league year. When he played at the University of Nevada, Reno, he was one of 4 quarterbacks that had over 10,000 yards combined passing and rushing. He did that. As a collegiate player, he brought that same style to the NFL. And when you think about it, he spent his entire career with the 49ers. He came on and replaced Alex Smith, who had also led the 49ers to an NFC Championship game. But Colin Kaepernick got them to the Super Bowl and was an NFC Championship game away from doing it again. They lost up in Seattle with his pass got knocked down by Seattle's defensive back in the end zone. Now, I got to tell you, in my opinion, Kaepernick has always been a great player. But taking a stand for doing what's right cost him a lot of playing time and opportunities in the NFL, the Good Old Boy Network. So during the 2016 season, Kaepernick began to kneel during the national anthem to protest police brutality. In this country, he has been a free agent over that issue ever since. But he worked out for the Las Vegas Raiders May of 2022. Has anyone ever thought that we do not have an issue with equality in the United States? What do you think Jim Crow was about? Colin Kaepernick was espousing what happened during the Kerner Commission. That was put together by President Lyndon Baines Johnson. It opined some of the same things that Colin Kaepernick was trying to protest. I don't know who would say, let's not have more egalitarianism and liberty and justice for all. And then Colin Kaepernick took a stand. And now the NFL has on the back of the end zones in racism. It takes all of us. So they acknowledge there's been some issues, and we're trying to make this country a more perfect union. To form a more perfect union. But he got fired for doing that. Despite not playing in almost 8 years, Colin Kaepernick has been staying game ready, just in case. The 36-year-old quarterback told reporters at the Paris Olympics that he still believes that he has what it takes to win in the NFL. Now, I want to tell you about Colin Kaepernick's success. Here's a man that has 4 playoff wins and a Super Bowl. We have a quarterback in Los Angeles. Justin Herbert never won a playoff game. And they've already made him nearly $300 million offer. And he hasn't won 1 playoff game. Colin Kaepernick's won 4. You got to realize that. There are a lot of players that are signing $300 million contracts without even a playoff win. Trevor Lawrence for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He has 1 playoff win. They came back and beat the Chargers in Jacksonville. He signed nearly $300 million contract. And Colin Kaepernick has 4 playoff wins, and he can't even get a spot. Not even from his old coach. Because Jim Harbaugh, truth be told, he's under the pressure that a lot of the NFL owners have colluded to keep Colin Kaepernick out of the league. They know it's true. because they don't like what he said, but they respect what he said. That's why they allowed end racism to go in the back of the end zones under every goalpost. Now, I don't know if they're going to do it this year, but they've done it the last 2 years. Because who would not want to end racism in this country? And when Colin Kaepernick spoke about it, obviously people didn't like the way he took a knee, but he was honoring our military veterans. That's what I do on every Big C Sports podcast. He paid homage to the military because a military man said it'd be more respectful if you took a knee as opposed to taking a seat. And it cost them because mainstream media, they turned against them because they wanted to do it. They've been accustomed to doing that. And that's a shame. So sometimes you got to realize that when you try to be successful in something, you're going to have some resistance. Colin Kaepernick said, I've trained my whole life to be able to step back on the field. I think that would be a major moment, a major accomplishment. But for Colin Kaepernick, he said, I think it could bring a lot to a team and help them win a championship. Now, keep it in mind for people that say, oh, he's not gonna help a team win. He has 4 playoff victories and a Super Bowl. You have guys making $300 million contracts that haven't even won a playoff game. And that's a fact. More news on the NFL. Brandon Ayuk situation continues to roll along. The San Francisco 49ers prepare their second preseason game Saturday. Rumors continue to swirl around the potential trade of Ayuk to the Pittsburgh Steelers, while San Francisco tries to keep their star receiver in the Bay Area. Deebo Samuel among those who think the 49ers will be successful. He sounded confident that Ayuk would be a 49er this season, and I hope that he will too. Everybody has their own feeling about where you should play and what team is going to win, what team makes the best sense. But I think no matter what it is, Colin Kaepernick should at least get a tryout. If not that, at least on the coaching staff. If players that have not even won a Super Bowl or a playoff game are getting $300 million deals, and here's a man that has 4 playoff wins and a Super Bowl. At some point in time, even if you look at the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, how can you say that Colin Kaepernick was wrong? You can't. But he got ostracized from the NFL for that. I don't think that's right. And that's part of what I say about reparations. We need reparations in this country. It repairs a lot of things. But it takes that all good people have to come together and realize that we're all trying to do our best. That's just my story, and I'm sticking with it. I love doing Big C Sports Podcast. Not everybody likes my style. But whatever I do is factual. I want to always be factual. And hopefully that fact will let people realize we can all have opinions, but we don't all have to agree. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. The third season NFL will be enhanced with the launch of NFL Pro, a brand new platform for avid fans unlike any other on the market. They're diving into the tape, and numbers will be a more accessible process than ever with NFL Pro, available exclusively through NFL Plus Premium subscriptions. NFL Pro offers fans access to nearly 100 unique player and team performances and stats, which are directly linked to all 22 coaches, films, empowering fans with the most comprehensive platform for NFL analysis available to the public. There's 32 teams in the NFL, and all of them, they have a chance to be a part of this. You got to study the game just like the pros and navigating the dashboards with the advanced metrics and filtering capabilities powered by next-gen stats. From these stats and dashboards, fans will not only be able to evaluate players, the aggregate performance metrics, but also they'll be able to seamlessly bring these metrics to life with click video capabilities. With NFL Pro, fans can create, save, and share custom playlists based on tagged film from next-gen stats. Beyond the ability to conduct independent research, fans will also be granted access to the massive library of insights that next-gen stats team provides, and broadcasters and teams alike on a weekly basis. It's amazing. The game preview pages present fans with matchup comparison ratings across 23 different categories, illuminating the areas of the game where each team should have an edge. The breadth of this new platform, it might be overwhelming at first, but if you take time to understand it, you'll realize that NFL Pro is going to be great. I love the fact that technology, which is not my thing, I'm not one. I like to still write a handwritten note, like a thank you note. Laugh all you want. Now people send a thank you text. There's nothing like a thank you note that lets people know that you appreciate them. That's what I love doing with Big C Sports Podcast. So as I say, for the first time ever, Next-gen stats are being made available to the public with the capabilities to filter the data through different splits and aggregations from player-level passing, rushing, receiving, and defensive stats to team-level performance metrics. These dashboards are available at the game and season level. Each dashboard contains a suite of metrics relevant to the phase of the game that grows across multiple platforms. I really do love technology. I'm just not good at it, but I got to get better at it. I still try to learn how to work my phone, my tablet, and I have a Galaxy, and some people have iPhones. I have a Galaxy, and I'm still trying to figure out how it works. I'm doing the best I can, so don't laugh at me. But technology is great, and young people understand the technology. I got to just say this too. Don't miss the dynamic stat starters, the glossary. When I think about when I first started out doing stats in the NFL, I got my first start with Fox Sports, and it was with, I'll never forget the call. I did a game in Southern California, and I was a spotter for the late Tom Kelly, who had broadcast for 40 years at the University of Southern California. And he turned around and said, "You do a good job, my man. What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to do what you're doing. I want to get into broadcasting." I was just out of college. And he said, "Okay." And that was the end of the conversation. It was a California versus Texas All-Star game. That was on a Saturday night at Cal State Fullerton. On Tuesday, I got a phone call from Mike Royd at Fox Sports. And he said, "Hi, this is Mike Royd with Fox Sports. I'm John Madden's broadcast associate. And would you like to be able to work the 49ers and Chargers game at Candlestick Park at that time?" And I said, "Sure." I was not expecting this call. He said, "Okay, report to Fran Morrison at Will Call, and we'll have your press pass for you." That was it. It was Tom Kelly. I'm thinking it was Tom Kelly that put in the word for me. I didn't ask. I just told him what I wanted to be when he said, "I do a good job." I know my game. I can do it with my eyes closed. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I've been doing this a long time. I won Bay Area Broadcast Media Awards against all the top broadcasters in the Bay Area, but many of them are Caucasian, and they got the job. That's a fact too. But I have the award to show for it. I love what I do. I know my stuff. And then they brought me on and said I did a good job, so they elevated me to the broadcast booth with John Madden, the late John Madden, and the late Pat Summerall. I know my stuff. I do it because I love it. Now, how dare I sit back and wait for someone to give me an opportunity? I make my own opportunities. All I do is ask God, "Make it lightning strike!" Nam yo renge yo, nam yo renge yo, nam yo renge yo. And I want to take Big C Sports Podcast and grow opportunities with other people who want to get into broadcast. I'm going to create my own opportunity with God's favor and God's providence. I want to be the one that makes it happen. I can give it to my children when I'm gone. I can bequeath it to Daisy and Malcolm. All they got to do is learn the sports business. They already know it. When all this junk is over, when all this crap is done that's going on right now in my own personal life, when all that's over, you know that your Father's done something for you that no one can take away. All you got to do is keep giving God praise. Don't worry about people. God, there's no confusion in God. May lightning strike! With all my heart, mind, body, and soul, I want to do what I can with Big C Sports Podcast to be productive and be something that can live on when I'm gone. I want to live a long, fruitful life. But I want you guys to have everything your heart desires. But you got to get on your knees and ask God for favor. May lightning strike! Give God praise. And do the best you can. Always rise and shine. I love doing that. Just like this platform, this new gen platform is pretty powerful. It has quarterback stats against the blitz. It filters for blitzes using passing splits, drop downs on the passing stats. It has a great dashboard. You can choose which metric to sort by. If you sort all these great things that they have, you realize it makes you feel like a player. It makes you feel like a coach. And then, not only did I get on with Fox Sports, I was flown by NBC Sports to the Super Bowl. It was in San Diego. It was John Elway versus Brett Favre. And I'll never forget David Gibson in the truck with Dick Enberg. He was a broadcast producer. He turned around and said, "You do a good job, my man. I want to put in a word for you to work the Super Bowl." I was about to ask him, and he offered it. I said, "God spoke for me. God, I'm asking now for $100 million. I've already had the request out there. I'm asking God. I'm not talking about people. You know God is out there. From sea to shining sea. It doesn't all have to happen in one fell swoop. But help me build Big C Sports Podcast, God, into something that's not just about sports. It's about helping people, repairing. I want to do the best I can with it. I love life. I love what I'm doing. I just want to thank you, God. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I want to be the #1 sports show in the universe. Talking reparations in sports and egalitarianism for all man and womankind. One small step for men, one giant leap for men and womankind. May lightning strike. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I told you I'm taking a class on how to talk faster and hope I'll pass the test. You think I talk fast? I came in last place in the class. Maybe I should have gone to that car auction in the first place. So I'm gonna try to speak faster on the next Big C Sports Podcast. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you on every Big C Sports Podcast, if you're gonna drink, don't drive. If you're gonna drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You could call Uber, you could call Lyft, you could walk it off, you could sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car, start driving after they've been drinking. The life you save may be your own, or someone you love, or someone who's loved by somebody else. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As my beautiful mother always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that crap on their own. You need more LEADER in your life. LEADER is an acronym for love is the answer. If somebody's slapping you, I only slapped it because you made me mad. Call 911. If someone's kicking you, I only kicked you because you made me mad. Call 911. If someone's choking you out, I only choked you because you made me mad. Call 911. No man, woman, or child deserves to be treated like crap. If somebody loves you, they don't hit you, they don't kick you, they don't beat you. Don't let that happen to you. Call 911. Things change when the police show up. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy. On my mother's side, my great-grandparents, mama and pop, beautiful, loving, kind great-grandmother and great-grandfather. Pop, former Negro League baseball player, and mama known as making the best collard greens in the history of the universe. We were told she put grandmama, you put your foot in it. And my brothers one time came around the kitchen, and we were peeking inside. She was standing in those collard greens. She was putting her foot in it. They sure taste good. We ate them anyway. But she didn't like when we come in the house and didn't wash our dirty hands before we got in the refrigerator. Boy, go wash your dirty hands. But great grandma, I'm hungry now. I don't need to wash my hands. Oh, yes, you do need to wash your hands. What is it about grandparents that want us to wash our hands? Anyway, I remember those days. Love them with all my heart, my body, and soul. They're my beautiful grandparents, Muddy and Hezekiah. They were seers. They can oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and their future. And they still help me to this day. My pineal glands really opening up. I love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful mama. I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Always saying rise and shine. The best person I ever met in my life. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Mama, you hear my praise. I'm going to keep praising. The best person I ever met in my life. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful father, my grandparents, Albert and Alberta Curry. They were pastors. They had 3 churches. They owned 2 gas stations in Oakland. They also had 40 acres of land. I remember walking through the hallway at 8 years old. About 10 o'clock at night, I felt someone touch me on my forehead. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, "What are you doing up, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some cookies?" I said, "Cookies are baby crap, but what I'm doing, I'm going to get my reparations." But a couple of cookies wouldn't hurt. It's been a long wait. She said, "There's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak." And now Big C Sports Podcast is on 29 podcast platforms and streaming on 4 TV platforms. God, I just keep giving you praise. You know I deserve what I'm asking you for. Nam yo renke yo, nam yo renke yo, nam yo renke yo. I feel like I'm being pulled at by the universe. I thank you, God, for opening doors. I wanna walk through them and rise and shine. Love my grandparents with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always saying, develop your mind to its highest extent. Love my dad with all my heart, my body, and soul. Then my beautiful brother Ty, but that bombastic voice sound like thunder and lightning when Top would speak. A voracious reader, always saying go forward. He said, don't look back because you don't have much backside back there anyway. I said, I love my backside, Ty. But he said my backside was small, so I'm trying to do more squats so I can have a bigger backside. If that makes sense, yeah. Ty and I love Malcolm X, but we also love the movie Pulp Fiction with Denzel. I'm telling you, Denzel and Malcolm X. Was Denzel in Pulp Fiction? Yeah. But with John Travolta, Sam Jackson, Vin Rames, and Bruce Willis before the big fight, Vin Rames told Bruce Willis, he said, come here, boy. He said, take this money. Your butt goes down in the 5th round. Say that blip. And Bruce Willis said, okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round. He told him, that stinging sensation you're feeling, well, that's just pride flubbing with you. And he said what Captain Kirk said to Darth Vader. He said, flub pride. He said, pride only hurts. It never helps. We got to learn that pride only hurts. It never helps. And then, he didn't take the dive, and he lost his LA privileges. But Vin Rames told Bruce Willis, he said, boxing is filled with a lot of unrealistic, muddly bluckers who think that butt gets better in time like fine wine, but it don't. In terms of vinegar, then it do. You're going to thank Uncle Marsalis when you're chilling in the Caribbean. But we know Bruce Willis didn't take the dive, and he lost his LA privileges. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, 2 degrees in 3.5 years from a major university. Daisy, you can be anything you want to be. Daisy set up the very first interview for Big Shit Sports Podcast. It was back at Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of this country that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. It had never happened before. They would normally go to the ESPN. But because of 2 black men in the crew, station manager calls us the Dream Team. I still got the letter. Shenanigans set in and it went away. And that's just the way the love goes sometimes. But you know what? We kept rising and shining. Daisy, you could be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. I just pray that God gives you everything your beautiful heart desires. Always, always, always trust God. Isaiah 54:17. And then my beautiful son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, erudite, a good man, always trust God. Isaiah 54:17. I pray that no weapon formed against you will prosper. You can be anything you want to be. In fact, Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get the newspapers and look up stats for a Big Shit Sports Podcast on players and teams. And one day Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since. Now on 29 podcast platforms, streaming on 4 TV platforms. And then one day Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big Shit Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big Shit Sports. You see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. Now streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. Malcolm, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. You got to believe. You got to believe. You got to believe. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, like my great-grandparents coming out of that barn, always saying you got to believe. You got to believe. You got to believe. Saying, let's get ready to rumble. I love to say welcome to the show. FB nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no teleprompters. All I have no producer in my ear. All I have is this gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients called it the third eye. They say that's how you talk to God, and that's why I talk so loud. And when I finish with my speaking class, I'm going to even talk faster. Yes, go. Let's go. Welcome to the show. I'm trying to have more fun with it because I'm having a lot of good things coming in my life, and I want to thank God and give God praise. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I like always saying on every Big Shit Sports Podcast, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big Shit Sports, I want to champion reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. There was no fighter greater than Muhammad Ali. I like ending every show, as I always think it's the right thing to do, to honor America's 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, and the inimitable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They said, reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Say it 2 more times. Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Say it 1 more time. Reparations at last. Reparations at last. Thank God Almighty. Reparations at last. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day.